I'm happy to introduce Jim Risen to us today. Last year at this time, he couldn't talk. He was under threat of imprisonment because he refused to identify his source. This year, Jim can talk. The standoff ended when, thankfully, the government blinked. Jim's a two-time Pulitzer Prize winner, probably best known for stories exposing warrantless wiretapping by the NSA and monitoring of financial global networks. He was a reporter who questioned the WMD intelligence ahead of the Iraq War. And inside the Times newsroom, he remains a vocal advocate for a vigorous and skeptical Fourth Estate, a voice for skepticism and deliberation in reporting on government and national security, and willing to question conventional wisdom and the prevailing narrative of the day. We're thrilled to be able to be hearing from Jim this year instead of about him. Please welcome Jim.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me. It's a great honor. Frankly, I didn't know there were this many investigative reporters in America, so it's great. I mean, this is actually the most optimistic I've felt in the last year or two, to see so many people actually involved in investigative reporting and to see that the industry is growing and that the profession is healthy. And it's amazing to also be here with so many legends in the business. So it's a great honor. I was in college when Don Bowles was killed, and I remember reading about it, and I think that whole period really shaped a whole generation of reporters my age, and it was really the post-Watergate period that made me want to become a reporter, and I think that's probably true for most other investigative reporters of my generation. So I just wanted to thank you, first of all, for, I talked to Lowell Bergman the other day, who's a good friend of mine, and he told me that last year at this event he asked you all to stand up on my behalf, and I want to thank you for doing that. And it's interesting to have gone through the process that I've gone through to find that the one thing that the U.S. government really hates is bad publicity. And Eric Holder in particular really dislikes bad publicity. He thinks he's a friend of the press. And so the one thing that ultimately forced the Justice Department to back off in my case was the fact that they were getting a lot of negative press. And Eric Holder was worried about his legacy as he went out the door. And yet at the same time that they seemed worried about the negative press, they also were pursuing a legal case in which they took my case to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals and then to the Supreme Court, in which they argued very baldly that there is no such thing as a reporter's privilege in a criminal case. And that was the basis for the appeal in my case. It was it really shocked me that the Obama administration took what was at the time a fairly, a case that you could have based their arguments on any number of facts and incremental arguments, but instead they made it into a constitutional showdown over the existence of the reporter's privilege. And I'm sure all of you understand the significance of that today. The Fourth Circuit ruled in favor of the Obama administration and ruled that there is no such thing as a reporter's privilege in a criminal case, federal criminal case. That is now the law in the Fourth Circuit, and the fact that the Supreme Court did not take my case, let that stand in the Fourth Circuit, and it's probably the most important appellate ruling on the press freedom in the last 20 or 30 years. And so today, even though there are more people doing investigative reporting than ever before, you have fewer legal protections than you've had in 30 or 40 years. There is no such thing today as your ability to protect your sources under the law, at least not in certain parts of the United States. And so that is really the legacy of the Obama administration on press freedom. And we, as an industry, have to begin to think about how to fight back against that. Because right now, the only protections we have are when we give the government bad publicity. And that is not the way that our industry should be having to try to operate on an ongoing basis. This is the country of laws, and we have no law. We have no legal protection now. So when a federal prosecutor decides that he wants to find out who talked to you, there's nothing right now stopping them from doing that, except for the charity of the Attorney General. It depends on what mood the next Attorney General is in, and whether or not they like the press or they don't like the press. It's an arbitrary, lawless position for our industry today. And I think that the only way we can try to do something about that is to begin to speak up more forcefully and to begin to do more aggressive investigations of the Obama administration and of the next administration and the administration after that, to make sure that they don't think they can put us on our heels. Because that is exactly where they think we are right now. No matter how many people come into this room, they still think they have us where they want us. And that is, having been in the courtroom and watched the prosecutors and listened to the debates between my lawyers and the prosecutors, I know exactly what they think of us. They don't think anything of us. And that is the cold reality of the Justice Department right now. I can tell you that even as Holder was making public statements saying that he wasn't going to put a reporter in jail, the prosecutors in my case were continuing to demand more information. There was a war going on inside the Justice Department between Holder and the prosecutors. And the only thing that held them back was the fact that Eric Holder didn't want negative publicity. And that, as I said, is a terrible place for our industry right now. So I don't know, I don't have an answer for how we fight back, other than the fact that we have to continue to do more aggressive investigations. I think it's good that there are as many people here, many reporters here, as in the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I think one of the first things that should happen is maybe some symbolic changes in the Washington press corps would help to show that they're not so close to the government. But anyway, as you can tell, I'm still pissed off. But I don't want to hold you up. I know the one thing I've learned by giving speeches is brevity is better than being long. So I just want to thank you very much for having me. And as I said earlier, the fact that there's so many of you and so many doing great work is the most hopeful thing I've seen in the last couple of years. So thank you very much.